Hello and welcome to the Art of Decluttering podcast. I'm your host, Amy Revell, and I have my friend Dana K. White with me again on the podcast because she is amazing and has written another book. Dana is from A Slob Comes Clean. She's written the most tender, exciting, empathetic book, and I want to hear all about it. Dana, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. You just made my day. And like when somebody brags on your kids, you're like, well, I love
Yeah.
you. And when you're
Yeah.
bragging on Winnie, I'm like, oh, you get
Oh,
her.
Winnie is the
Thank
most
you.
beautiful little walrus that I have
Thank
ever
you.
come across. Like she comes to life in this book.
Thank
So,
you.
the book's called Winnie's Pile of Pillows. Tell me a little bit about like what was the birthing of Winnie and how did you kind of go, I think that this book needs to be in the world?
It was one of those, I have a lot of good thoughts when I'm in the shower.
Love it.
And I just, I, I feel like the core of what I teach about decluttering all over is like, be you. You do not
Yeah.
have to be somebody else in order to be able to have a space that you love and is under control. And
Yeah.
so that's such a core thing, right? Like, I think a lot of
Yeah.
my people have grown up feeling like nobody understood what was important to me and what I loved. And so anytime somebody tried to help me declutter, it felt like we were going into battle.
Yeah.
And and also, I mean, I'd heard from so many people who were like, I want to teach these things to my kids. I want to teach these
Yeah.
things to my kids. And so I just had the moment of thinking, what a fun creative project it would be to basically teach the container concept, which is like the core concept that changes everything for people whose brains work like mine, in a children's story. And so I had this idea and I wanted it to be an animal. And so I was like, if I name her Winnie the Walrus, it has to be an animal and they won't make it
Yeah.
be a human child. Cause I was like, I always loved books that had animals as the,
It captures your
character.
imagination,
It
doesn't it? And you start
does.
to like identify with this little beautiful walrus. It's pretty special.
Thank you. Thank you.
Was it a little bit of like your parenting journey as well brought into it? Like are there parts where you're like, oh, that was something that as a family we went through, or I've seen that in my kids, or I'm out in the world working with clients and yeah, that's like where did
Yeah.
kind of this story
I
evolve from?
think I think it mostly comes from the fact as a mom, one of my biggest struggles
Mm,
in helping my kids declutter, back when I personally was also overwhelmed with my own stuff,
yeah.
was I want my kid to love what they love and
Yeah.
be who they are. And I that's what makes them unique. That's what makes them who they are, is that they get excited about these things. And so then when the space is completely out of control, I struggle with, okay, I want them to have the things that they want, but also not get to that point that they got to, that I had always gotten to, which was like, I love these things, but now I hate my whole space because it's completely overwhelming to
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
so that struggle right there is the core of what this book is to me, is like,
Mm,
it's okay to love the things that you love. Like I tell people all the time, you can keep anything, but you can't keep everything. And so many times I feel like people's number one reason that they resist decluttering, kids, adults, everybody, is that we think that decluttering means declaring this item to be bad or
yeah.
worthless.
Black and white,
Yes,
good,
like,
bad.
right.
Yes.
And it comes from the idea of like people saying that decluttering is like, oh, do you love this thing? And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
of course I
All of
love
it.
it. Every little bit of it. I love it all. And or is it useful or whatever? And when you think that you're doing that, then that actually means that you're saying the only things I'm going to get rid of are the things that I say are worthless. Well, as somebody who
Yeah.
loves my stuff, and that's children especially, right? Like
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
they love their thing. And so you're to ask them to determine this thing to be bad
Mm,
means that decluttering feels impossible, because I don't think that thing is bad. I think it's adorable. I love
yes.
it. It's interesting. It's,
Yeah. It's
all that.
me, it's
Yeah.
identity, it's
Yes.
safety.
Right.
One of the things that I love with Winnie the Walrus is it's not a book about minimalism. It's not
Mm-mm.
a book about deprivation. It's not a book about like self-discipline or like, let's do the decluttering. It's a book about understanding yourself and understanding what you like. Like, I love that Winnie goes, and I like, please go and get this book if you've got children, because it's this social story. So tell me, what do you want kids to feel when they read the book? Like, there's obviously lots of information. What do you want kids to identify with and feel as part of, reading themselves into Winnie?
I I want kids to identify with when Winnie ends up realizing, like, because she's
Yeah.
a child, right? Like, they're
Yeah.
learning. When she has this realization, I'd never thought about pillows before, but now that I think of them and now that I'm laying here and it's so comfortable and they're
Yeah.
so pretty, this is my new favorite thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want them to relate to that moment and feel the joy that she feels instead of the shame that they fear decluttering would be,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
It's that moment, because, like, one of my favorite things is, she sees these things and she feels this little feeling in the middle of her chest, like
I love
the
it.
mix between a
Bit of
tickle
a
and a giggle.
tickle.
Yeah, it's like, because I have that feeling in my chest when I'm like,
Yeah.
"This thing is so cool. This thing is so cute. This thing is
Yeah.
so interesting." And that was the word that I kept, trying to make sure stayed in there, was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, that
Yes.
is the key. Like, this is what was interesting to her. And so that's why she valued it, because she saw it as interesting. And so, um, yeah, that's what I want kids to feel like, "Oh, she gets it." Like, this is
Yeah.
exactly how I feel when I see these things that I can't necessarily explain
Yep.
why I love it, which a lot of times as a mom, you're like, "Hey, why do you want this?" Well, they can't explain it.
They
They
can't.
just
They just saw that stick or they
yes,
have that Easter egg wrapper and it just speaks to them.
exactly. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is I want them to understand that, like, we get it. We get
Yeah.
it. This is not. And I'm glad that I love your reaction, because I don't want it to be a preachy
It's
book.
not. No.
'Cause
It's a story of freedom, actually.
Mhm.
Like, Winnie
Yes.
has the freedom to accumulate the things that she loves. She has the freedom to live in a space that is now overfull of the things that she loves. And I like that she like has this experience of, trying to get into bed and there's pillows everywhere, but they're the things that she loves, but it's kind of stopping her from sleeping. Um I wrote down one of the quotes that I really love from the book. It
Okay.
says, Winnie flopped on a pillow and harumphed. With pillows everywhere, she couldn't do the things she loved to do, and the room she loved had no room. And we work a lot with neurodivergent
Mhm.
children and
Mhm.
families. And I feel like so often it's not that we're accumulating rubbish, we're accumulating things that, in quotation marks, spark joy.
Yeah.
But when there's too much of a good thing, it stops you, as Winnie says, like doing the things she loved to do. And in the room she loved, there was no room. Were you intentionally writing it as a social story in that way so that people had this, you took them on a journey of understanding the impact of too much of a good thing?
Yes. I mean, this is my story, is
Mm,
I was not bringing things into my home out of greed. I was bringing them
yeah.
in because I enjoyed them, because I loved them. Often it was things for other people. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this would be
Yep.
great for so and so. This would be great for so and so." I was bringing it in, until suddenly I was overwhelmed. It's that
Mm,
moment of feeling overwhelmed when you're like, "Gather, gather, this is fun." And then
yeah.
complete shutdown when I realize now I can't actually function in this space anymore. So
It's an
I don't
interesting
yeah.
realization because adults need to like, when there's a kids show or a kids book, Dana, where you're watching it with your own kids, you're like, oh, that message was for the adults. I feel like Aunt Becky in this book is a really lovely message for adults because Aunt Becky has a home that's eclectic. She has a home where she displays and enjoys her favorite things. And then Aunt Becky has these limits. Like, I can kind of hear your container method
Mhm.
coming through with Aunt Becky of like, we're setting limits and we're keeping the things that we love. And she's teaching that to Winnie without being so overt as to say, this is how you keep a house tidy. Um,
Yes.
but she's eclectic and she's fun and she's the auntie's house that you want to go to. Like, what made you not go down the minimalist line with Winnie?
Well, I'm not a minimalist. I it's not appealing to me.
Yeah, okay, yep.
It's appealing to me in the simplicity of it, right? Like sometimes I had those moments where sit, I would be laying in bed one night,
Mm,
thinking, not one night, many nights, where I would be thinking, oh my goodness, this is so frustrating. What is wrong with me? Why is my house always a
yeah.
disaster? And I would have this moment where I was like, you know what? I don't need all this stuff. I
Mm,
don't need these things. You know what? I could live with just the bare minimum and that sounds amazing. And I was like, okay, tomorrow when I wake up, everything is going to change. That was
yeah.
my story again and again and again.
Yeah,
Everything is going to change tomorrow. I'm really going to do it this time. I really have
yeah.
decided I mean it this time. And then I would wake up and I would be like, okay, I'm a new
Let's
person.
go.
I've made this decision. And I would go and I would look at my actual stuff and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, I wasn't thinking about this particular item that has a lot of
mm,
memories attached
yeah,
that I would totally not keep if I was a real minimalist, but I actually really, really love it. And I would have all these feelings and then I would just shut down and not do anything. And so the idea of the simplicity of minimalism is very appealing. And yet the actual implementation of it always stopped me
mm,
before I actually got started. And so,
yeah.
so I just, I call myself a functionalist. Like I just want to
Great.
get things down to the point
Yeah.
where I can do the things I want to do. And so that, Winnie is me, really.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's a
me.
little bit yeah.
And it's the light bulb moment of, oh, okay, I
Yeah.
can keep the best of the things and let other things go. Like she still loved all the pillows, but she put her
Yes.
favorite ones in the very best places.
Yeah.
And then the other ones went to other people. And
Mm,
that is such a my husband says this to me and I've heard it from a lot of other people, but it was one of those moments when I was helping him declutter that he specifically I said, put your favorite ones in first and then we'll let the less favorite ones go. And he said specifically, thank you for still calling it a favorite. Thank you for not making
oh,
me like reject this
yes.
item in order
Yeah.
to get rid of it. And I was like, well, you're welcome,
That
But
is
but
excellent.
yeah. But
I
it's a go ahead.
I don't think I have thought about it like that before. I've been a
Yeah.
professional organizer for well over a decade, and I don't think I've ever thought about it all being the favorite, but picking like the best of the best. Like I often talk about,
Yes.
like, let's keep the cream of the crop. But in my mind, I think I naturally think because I don't have a high attachment level to
Mhm.
things. I'm not particularly sentimental is I naturally think, well, there's going to be some that you don't have feelings toward. But actually, you're reframing it for me. And I think my clients are going to be very grateful that you have because it is about
Yeah.
saying, like, all of this might bring you joy, but what space do we have? And how do we keep the best of the best? Or, like, rather than the limit being, what do you love? Like you said, the limit is, like, what space do we have available?
Right.
And I think yeah, that's blew my
Because
mind.
it also really causes a lot of angst when I have these things I love,
Mm.
but there's so many of them that it's causing, like she looks at her room when it's completely out of control and she can't even see her beloved rug anymore that she
Yeah.
loves so much. And she has the opposite feeling in her chest. She has that
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
between a sigh and I can't remember what I said, but but she has that ugh feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a real like existential crisis, as the person who loves this stuff, you're like, wait a minute, I love this stuff, but it's actually causing me to feel bad.
Mm.
Ah, what do I do with that feeling?
And it's when we help clients and they go, "Oh, I forgot I had that. I actually love that
Mhm.
photo." And it's in amongst a pile of paperwork and different things. And you go like, "Well, we found a frame 20 minutes ago. Why don't we put it up?" And
Mhm.
I think that's, Winnie's purple rug is there's this thing that I love that I'm no longer enjoying because something
Yes.
else has come in. I one of the things I really identified with was Winnie got these cushions from Aunt Becky and she was able to take them home and she loved them and it was her new favorite thing. And then she went to a garage sale and got more and more and more.
And
And
there
I
was
think,
supposed to be another scene too, but
oh,
they
what?
made me
Tell
cut
me,
it.
what was
Well,
it?
she was gonna go to her friend's house and tell her friend about, "Oh my goodness, I've decided I loved pillows." And the friend's mom was gonna be like, "Oh, you love pillows? Here you go. You can have a bunch of mine too."
Yeah,
Because
because
that's what
that's the
happens.
reality.
Yes.
Yes. You all of a
Yes.
sudden love elephants, and every birthday, every time you get "Oh, I just thought of you, I saw this," and you get so many that you're no longer enjoying the 5 that you had treasured.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's that idea that I love this category of items,
Yeah.
and therefore I feel this obligation. Now it's become my identity to
Mm.
save and bring in all of that type of item, when in reality that gets me into the situation where I don't actually enjoy them anymore. I don't have that same feeling, but instead to say,
Mm.
okay, I'm going to pick like you said, the cream of the crop, the best of
Yeah.
the best, even though the others are still great and amazing. I'm going to choose my favorites
Mm.
according to the space that I actually have for those things.
Can you talk a bit more about that? Because I think that that's a really key takeaway for people is this it's almost this sense of obligation. I've come
Mhm.
this far, sunk cost theory. When he's like, I've got this many pillows, I might as well have all the pillows in the world.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's talk about that a bit more in
Yeah.
terms of how do we process and walk through that?
The phrase that I think I said it offhandedly at one point and people just latched onto, so I say it all the time now, is you can keep anything, but you can't keep everything.
Yeah.
And that it's not just about saying you can't keep everything. I had been told that, right? Like I had been told that many times and I didn't want to hear it because my reaction to that was, you don't understand me. You don't understand
Yeah.
why I like these things. You don't
Yeah.
understand why these things are important to me. But when you start that phrase or you preface that with, you can keep anything,
Mm,
all of a sudden I feel understood, like, oh, so it's okay
right.
to like what I like. It's okay
Yeah.
eh, to enjoy what's important to me,
Mm,
but I can't keep everything. So that means I can pick whatever I want. I do not have to rationalize it. I don't have to explain it. I don't have to justify it, but I do have to have space for it.
yeah.
And when the space is limited, which it always is, all space is
Mhm.
limited. When the space is limited, then that naturally sorts out for me, oh, this is the item that I want to keep in this space. And this item
Mm,
that I would absolutely keep if I had more space. Absolutely would.
yeah.
But I don't have that space. And so therefore I'm going to let it go.
And there's a natural limitation for
Hmm.
children because generally speaking, children have their bedroom.
Hmm.
And depending on how the home operates, there might be toys in another room, or within their bedroom, they may have only a limited amount of space that is kind of this free keeping, you can keep
Hmm.
anything. When my kids were little, they had this chest of drawers next to their bedside table, and the top drawer was like, I don't care what you keep in there. And there were stones and rocks and chewing gum wrappers, but it was like whatever you want goes in there. And it's children have kind of so much more limits placed on them, and yet Winnie still was able to identify like the spot between the bed and the drawers. Like this is where I keep the special stuff that I'm hiding from my brother. Children are still able in limited space to identify the role of the spaces. Do you feel like sometimes when we become an adult and it's like you've got the whole house, you've got every bit of storage, you can bring in extra drawers, you can bring in an extra cupboard, you can use whatever nook and cranny you like, that sometimes we just keep trying to increase the space so that we don't
Yeah.
have to have limits?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I thought there's gotta be a better way than this, like, now that I'm the grown up
Yeah,
now that I'm
yeah,
the grown
yeah.
up and I get to make the decisions, right? But don't we all figure out things that are like, "Oh, yeah, things really are the way things are." I mean, I know that we
Yeah.
can make things better and we can put our spin on it and all that, but, like, there are some things that it comes down to, like, I can't fight reality.
Mm,
And so many times when I was trying to come up with new storage systems, new organizing systems, trying to find complicated ways to keep my stuff, I was fighting the reality that I simply did not have enough space.
mm,
Or also, I didn't have the clutter threshold, meaning I didn't have the ability, the personality to be
yeah.
able to manage a detailed little
Yeah.
system,
Yeah. Because you've got to manage all of those spots that your stuff is in, remember
Yes.
where it is, keep it tidy.
Hmm.
And, the houses where it's just, you feel like the furniture is just encroaching on
Hmm.
space because the solution to I don't want stuff to be all on the floor, which is great. We don't want stuff on the floor, is like, I'll just keep buying more furniture.
Right. Right.
Dana,
Yeah.
one of the things that I think you do really well, and I've seen you do this for years with adults, and I've seen you do it through Winnie, is you take shame away. And do you think that shame comes because you've addressed? I think you've in the background addressed removing shame in Winnie. I don't think that
Hmm.
it's not in the wording of the book. Why do you think children take on shame so early, and why was it important to not have Winnie go through a shame experience?
Well, that sounds like a child psychologist question that I don't know that I can answer. I
It
don't
was
know.
really obvious to me, though. It was so when
Go
I
ahead.
read it,
Then you tell me. Yeah.
I was so taken with the fact that Winnie at no point had somebody else trying to tell her that's what she was doing was wrong, how she was doing it was wrong. Like she had this kind of internal process where and shame was not present. And
Thank you.
that really stood out to me. It it was quite profound because I think that a lot of children start the decluttering process with a sense of shame. Was it intentional or is it just who you
Oh,
are came through?
it absolutely is intentional because in my own experience, and I don't want to,
Mm,
my mother was not, she did not shame me, right? Like,
yeah.
but I have heard the stories from so many people, like heartbreaking stories
Yeah.
of people whose authority figures treated their clutter, their love of stuff, the things that they
Mm,
were into that the other person, that the adult didn't understand, which so many times as adults we don't get it. We don't
yeah.
know
We're
why
not
it is
meant
that
to.
they. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But the that it was treated as a failing, as
Mm,
failure, as why are you like this? What's wrong with, like, the question why is so natural to come out of your mouth. Like, why do you
mm,
like this?
mm.
Why do you want this? Why are you keeping
Justify
this?
it.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you can't justify it, like, because I can't put into words exactly what it is that I
Mm,
love about this pillow or this
yeah.
item, that naturally makes me feel like, okay, I don't have an answer for that. I guess it's wrong for me to love these things. Like,
Yeah.
if I
It's almost
can't,
like you're in a court of law, like
yeah.
it's clutter until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not blaming any parents because I know how
No.
hard it is, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to write the book, because I wanted to have the conversation and the tools to this example of
Yeah.
she can love these things, but also not keep them all because they were making it
Yeah.
harder for her to actually, function in her space and live in her space.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's a really thoughtfully written children's book. My husband and I probably, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, played around with the idea of writing a book about children decluttering, and we
Hmm.
ended up instead writing a song.
Oh,
So I'll
fun.
put the link in the show notes.
Yeah.
It's very different to Winnie. It's just about like tidying up and knowing when to like how to get into routines and habits. So it's a very and it's just a bit funny, It talks about stinky after school uniform stuff.
Yeah.
But I love that this book is out there. One of the things that we often think as authors when someone walks away from our book, what do we want them to feel and think and remember? When a child walks away from having read about Winnie's pile of pillows, what do you want them to feel about themselves and about their stuff?
I want him to feel freedom. Freedom to enjoy what they enjoy
Yeah.
without it taking over.
Mm. The boundaries in that
Mhm.
are actually freedom giving,
Yes,
because
absolutely they are.
the boundaries in that means that Winnie got to enjoy her purple rug, that Winnie got to enjoy climbing into bed at night because she wasn't then crowded out by pillows, that Winnie got to enjoy opening up her wardrobe, that they weren't going to cascade down on her like we have
Mhm.
both seen happen in many instances.
Yes.
And so she got to enjoy keeping the pillows that she could, but she also had that freedom to play again in her space. There's the illustrations are beautiful.
Thank
There's
you.
one illustration of I picture it like the sea is lava, the floor is lava of pillows, and she's just in this ocean of pillows. But in that ocean, she can't get to her toys. She can't invite a friend over. She can't dance on the rug or whatever she wanted to do. So it's the illustrations really take you on the journey that support this incredible message of
Thank you.
limits and
I
enjoying our
I
stuff.
didn't do the illustrations,
I
but
know, I know.
but I am so pleased with my illustrator. She really
Yeah,
captured the colors and the fun
yeah.
and yeah.
And the walrusness of it all.
Yes, she did. Yeah, I was like, I want somebody who can do animals with expressive faces.
Yes.
That was my number one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, nailed it, nailed it.
Yeah.
Dana, where can people find you I'm going to put a link to purchasing Winnie, not
Thank you.
Winnie herself, Winnie's Pile of Pillows.
Yes.
But where can people find you online to learn more about the way that you help people and guide them through decluttering and organizing?
Well, my home base, my website is a .com. I've had that for since
A long time?
2009 when I was just
Yeah.
trying to figure it out, and now I teach this to others. So yeah, that's my home base. But you can always just Google Dana K. White. You have to put a K in there because there's a
Yes.
man named Dana White. That's not me.
Apparently, my children tells me he does wrestling or something because they looked at my
He's
calendar and they're like, "We know, Mum, that you're not interviewing a wrestler." And I was like, "Oh, this is so much better than a wrestler."
I have disappointed. He's the head of the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Right.
People which is the really kind of it's more than
Is that
wrestling. It's
boxing or is that right? Okay.
it's
Yeah.
it's
I
like
know
the
nothing.
really violent anyway, it's not me, I
Right.
promise.
No, it's
So
not. The
but I
K is
have
important.
disappointed many people, like drivers and stuff who came to pick me up. They're like, "Oh, oh." And I'm like, "You thought it was Dana White, didn't you?" And they're like,
Oh, that's
"Sorry."
hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, I had never heard of him, but you
Yeah.
are top of mind for me all the time.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being my guest. I love when we get to chat. I think that you bring such a unique way of bringing grace and freedom to people. So I'm glad you wrote all about
Thank you.
Winnie.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for being my guest.
Thanks.
Listeners, until next week, enjoy the freedom.